Hello everyone, Catweazle here, welcome to the channel and welcome to our new playthrough, which is Arkham Horror, the 3rd edition, where we're going to be playing the Approach of Azathoth scenario. And as you can see, I've already done some of the setup, but I'll go through the setup and then you can see how we have got to where we have got. So the first thing you do is you choose a scenario, and it's recommended that you play against Azathoth, which is the general thing in Arkham horror games. Always play against Azathoth, they love it. So here's the scenario card, we'll have a quick look at it. Approach of Azathoth, the story so far. At the centre of infinity slumbers Azathoth, lulled to sleep by the ceaseless piping of accursed flutes. Yet some mortals would seek to draw the infinite power and calamity of the blind idiot god to them, and thereby doom all of mankind. The starting space is the train station, which is over here on the board. More of the board in a moment. And there is a reckoning effect like in Eldritch Horror. So for each cultist monster, place one doom in its space. So if we get a reckoning, we will have to put a doom in a cultist monster space. If it's in a street space, then we place the doom in an adjacent neighbourhood space instead. Let's flip it over, and the back side of the scenario card has all the setup details on it. As you can see, here is the setup of the board, which is mirrored down here. So we've got North Side, we've got Downtown, we've got East Town, Merchant District and Rivertown, and we've got all of these connecting streets. As you can see, the streets have different icons on them. For example, the tree means it's a scenic street, the gas lamp means it's an urban street, and the bridge icons mean it's a bridge. So there we go. There are also some other icons here. We have got these icons here are doom tokens, and the moon icons, they are monsters, which in this particular case are robed figures. We'll go through that in a bit more detail later. So Approach of Azathoth, the monster deck. So we have a specific monsters deck for this particular scenario, so it's all themed, particularly for Azathoth. And the monsters that we've had to pick out are an Abyssal Servant, an Eyeless Watcher, a High Priest, a Hooded Stalker ×2, a Cult Ritualist ×2, Robe Figure ×3, Swift by a Key, and all the Hound of Tinderloss monsters. So we've got all those, and they are all either up here in the monster deck, because it's a deck of small cards now, it's not the tokens anymore. And those that are not in that particular deck are actually out on the board, because we had to put 2 robed figures out. So there's a robed figure already out and on the board there. And as you can see, there are these Doom tokens. So I've already put the Doom tokens out as well. They are in the Arkham Advertiser, Independent Square, Velma's Diner, the Unvisited Isle, and the Black Cave. We've got to create the Mythos Cup. That is here. I'll go through that shortly. And to finalise setup, we had cards 2 and 3 to the Codex. Now these come out of something called the Archive. That's a deck of 40 cards, which are numbered rather helpfully 1 to 40. So we pick the numbers 2 and 3. We'll go through them in a second. And we create an anomaly deck using the Temporal Fissure cards. The Temporal Fissure cards, which make up the anomaly deck, are these. There are 3 different types of this deck. They're all called different things, but we're actually using the Temporal Fissure ones. So just give those a quick shuffle. And these are sort of like the gates and anomalies that will pop up throughout the game. Hopefully not too many of them. So we'll give them a cut and put them back there. So that's the Temporal Fissure deck all ready to go. Let's have a look at our Codex. Our first card is card 2, which is Anomalies. People walk with their heads down, shoulders hunched. With each new oddity, it becomes harder to pretend that nothing is wrong. But the vanishings, the strange lights, the sightings of inhuman creatures, they are not something that can be ignored. At least, not for long. And here in the box, we have a Doom symbol, And this is what happens when you accrue doom on the map. So when a space has 3 doom, or a neighbourhood has a total of 5 doom, place an anomaly in that neighbourhood. So a space is like where the robed figure is here, like the Black Cave or the graveyard or the general store. But the whole neighbourhood is called Rivertown. So if we get 5 doom in here, we will get an anomaly. If we get 3 doom in a single space, we will get an anomaly. Just to show you the anomaly tokens, they look like this. Now normally you just plonk them right in the middle there. I have put them on a little bit of a stand, so you'll be able to see them a little better, and you'll still be able to see the actual name of the neighbourhood as well. So those will be the anomaly tokens. Hopefully we won't have to use too many of those, if any. If additional doom would be placed in a neighbourhood with an anomaly, place that doom on the scenario sheet instead. So that's on the Azathoth sheet here. And when a neighbourhood has 0 doom, remove the anomaly from that neighbourhood. Yep, so then we can take it out. So that's pretty cool. There we go. And our Codex card number 3 is Deja Vu. The day dawns the colour of hammered lead, with a stillness and chill that settles over the gabled roofs of Arkham and lingers. As you go through your morning routine, you cannot shake the feeling of having done it before. The same breakfast, the same headlines in the newspaper warning of disappearances and odd goings-on, and a note in your handwriting reading, "The Damon Sultan approaches. Meet at the train station." Dun, dun, dun. So we've got a clue box here and a doom box. The clue box says, when there are 3 or more clues on the scenario sheet, add 4 to the add card 4 to the codex. Do not remove this card from the codex, so it'll stay. Yeah, 3 will stay even if we get the 3 clues that are required. The doom box says, when there is 3 or more doom on the scenario sheet, flip this card. So we'll flip it over and we'll have more instructions on the back side of this card. As you can see, this is what is going to drive the actual winning or losing of the game. So we, as investigators, are trying to get clues. If we can get clues, we will generate the 4th card, the 4th archive card, which will come into the codex, and that will give us further instructions. Similarly, if we start getting doom on here, then what's going to happen is we flip this over, and that will advance the bad stuff that is doubtless on the back of this card. Yeah? So we'll pop that there. But as we stand, the codex just has 2 cards in it. Alright, so we've done the choose scenario, and we've pretty much prepared the board and encounters, which is the next step. We've put out the monsters that were required, those 2 robed figures that went to Independence Square and the Black Cave, and those doom tokens that had to go out to Velma's Diner, Black Cave, Independence Square, Uninvisited Isle, and the Arkham Advertiser. Having set out the map, then we have to set out the neighbourhood cards, which are sets of encounter cards that, like the original 2nd edition, they're arranged by neighbourhoods. And when you flip them over, they will have each of the locations, the separate locations in that neighbourhood, listed. And depending on where you stood at the time, then you will read the relevant text. Now, these are all up here. For example, here we have North Side, and there are 8 of these cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not many, but you shuffle them like so. I've already shuffled them, but you'll just shuffle them, you know, give them a cut and pop them back in. So we've got North Side, we've got Merchant District, we've got Downtown, we've got Rivertown, and we've got East Town. And we have these streets that I mentioned. So if we ever stop on a street, unlike the 2nd edition, it has its own encounter deck. And this is the streets encounter deck here. There we go. They're also split into 3 on the back, because as I mentioned, you have your scenic streets, you have your urban streets, and you have your bridges here. Okay, right, so that's the map and that's the neighbourhoods. Is there anything else we need to do? Oh yes, we need to make sure that none of those neighbourhood cards there have any other cards in. And what I mean by that is there are other decks of cards, for example, like this particular deck here, that have exactly the same looking card in. So you've got to be very careful not to mix them at the beginning. You do get asked to mix certain cards in with your neighbourhood cards, but there are differences. For example, if I just flick this one over for the River Docks, it'll actually say at the bottom that this is an event encounter card for Approach of Azathoth. So it is easy, once you know where the differences are, to keep them separate. But at the start of the game, you've got to keep them separate. There are instructions for mixing these cards in at various points, but we'll get to that shortly. So I'll give them another quick shuffle. And, oh, just before I put it back, you do get this rather funky card holder for the Mythos deck. And as you can see, it's made out of cardboard. You just slot it together. It's quite straightforward. But you'll see there are some icons on it. Now, this icon at the back is a Doom icon. And the icons at the front are a clue icon and a gate burst icon. The reason that they're arranged in this fashion is just to remind you that when you're placing clues on the board, you pick from the front of the deck. Similarly, when you're placing a gate burst, then you pick from the front of the deck again. But if you are allocating Doom to the board, you will pick a card from the back. So that's why that is on the back there. So we'll pop that there. Give these another quick shuffle. And a cut. So we're going to start with Downtown. Downtown is at the front there. And I think that is it for the preparing the board and the encounters. And we've prepared the event deck at the same time. That was the event deck. So that is pretty cool. And what are we going to do is we've got to create the monster deck. Remember, we went through the list of monsters. We've got 2 robed figures and that are out on the board, that start out on the board, and all the rest, like High Priest, Hooded Stalker, Abyssal Servant, which is a Night Gaunt, and we've got all the Tinderlosses, which are like it's a Tinderloss Alpha. There's a Ravenous Predator that's also a Hound of Tinderloss. A Keening Hound is a Hound of Tinderloss. So you've got to have a look at these keywords just to make sure that you get everything. We'll give these a shuffle. And these will be pulled from the back. Yeah. So it doesn't matter the High Priest is on the front. He's not going to be the first out. It's whatever is on the back. In fact, what we'll do is we'll do a bit of a cut. So whatever's on the back here will be the first out. We'll pop that up there, out of the way. So that is the monster deck arranged. And as I said, we've already put the robed figures out. Then we've got to create the Mythos Cup. So it's like a chaos bag in the living card game. So we get the old chaos bag of doom. So we'll pop that out. And you've seen these before. These are like the Chaos Bag tokens, and this is a Reckoning token. And you've also seen the old coin capsules. So they're exactly the same size as the ones that I use for the Arkham Horror the card game, which is good. So I could use some that I already had. So this is just to stop them, you know, getting a bit of wear and tear from being in the bag and moved around all the time. So a Reckoning token goes in. We also put in 2 clue tokens, a gate burst token, 2 monster tokens, and 2 headline tokens, and 3 doom tokens. They go in, along with 3 blanks. Yep, so that is the chaos bag for this particular scenario. Chaos bag, just like in the card game, it's just like a fancy dice. That's all it is. It's a randomizer, but it does mean that you don't have to have about 50 different types of dice. You can change it all the time. It's just, it's like a multi-sided dice that can have as many sides as it wants. Yeah. So there are some special rules with this chaos bag that are different from the LCG, but we'll go through that when we actually start play. But that is the actual chaos bag, so we'll plonk that over here. for when we use it later on. Righto, you will notice though that we've got our old favourite, the dice tower, because we will be rolling dice at certain points. It's not just the chaos bag, we do use dice as well. D6s as normal. Okay, so that was the create the Mythos Cup. Then we create the headline deck. Now the headline deck is this deck with the icon of a newspaper on the front. Now I think there are about 40 of these cards, but we only use 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 are in here that I've picked out already. You give them a shuffle and a cut, and we're ready to go with those. Unlike most of the other decks here, this doesn't get replenished. Once we are out of headlines, that's it. As we use them, they go back in the box. And that can be bad later on in the game. The reason is, if you pull a headline token and you do not have a headline card, then it's Doom, baby. You start putting Doom onto the scenario sheet, I believe. But we'll pop that there. I think it's on the scenario sheet, should we run out of headlines. But we'll get to it and I'll double check that. But I do think we start putting Doom onto the scenario sheet if we don't have a headline card left. But at the beginning of the game we've got 13, so that's not too bad. Then we've got to prepare our assets and the display. So we've got several small cards here. As you can see, they're off to one side. At the top, the blue deck, that's the ally deck. Below that is a purple deck, that is spells. Further below that is the orange deck, and that is special items. So it's not a unique item deck, it's a special item deck. And it tends to be, you know, quite powerful items are in there. And then right at the bottom we have the common item deck, which is obviously your run-of-the-mill stuff. The two other sets of cards are conditions. We have Dark Packs, which are the lower set, and just above it we have the Old Faithful, Blessed and Cursed cards. Those are the only conditions at the moment, but you can bet during expansions we'll get a lot more conditions, just like we did in Sunny Eldritch. Now, like Eldritch, we also get a display. So we've got 5 of these general cards to put out as a display. So I'll give these another shuffle and a cut. As usual, in my playthroughs, I'll shuffle these every time before we actually draw anything, just to make sure everything is above board. So there, we've got a cut. So our first 5 cards that are going to go into our display are a leather coat, which is an item that costs $3. It's common, curio, and you get +1 observation as part of an evade action. Our second item will be a mystic tome that costs $4. Uses one hand. We're back to hands again. Good old Arkham. Mystic tome, item, curio, tome. You get +3 law while casting a spell, not influence. You get +3 law while casting a spell. Our third item costs 5, a .45 Thompson Tommy gun. Cool. So that's two-handed. Costs 5, item, common, weapon. You get +5 strength as part of an attack action. That's excellent. Our fourth item is a first aid kit, which costs 2, item, common, action. An investigator or ally in your space recovers 1 health. You are an investigator in your space, so you can use it on yourself, basically. And our final item will be a .45 automatic. One hand, costs $4. You get +3 strength as part of an attack action, and it's just a common weapon. So those are our 5 common items that will be in the display. Now, unlike Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, we don't just go to, I think we've got the general store. The general store's down here. You don't just go there and, you know, start buying it. You know, like you could in 2nd Edition. You still have to have an encounter. But the vast majority of the encounters for the general store are feel free to buy whatever's in the display. So, and sometimes you'll get told to buy something that isn't in the display, in which case you will just go through the deck till you find one. Yeah, just like Eldritch, very similar. I'll put those out properly in a moment, but we'll have those displayed up there so everybody can see them. All the other decks have been shuffled, but as I say, if we come to pick out of one, I'll shuffle them again anyway. Alright, so I think we've done that. I've prepared the token pools because I've got them in the old plastic box. So all that's ready to rock and roll, no problems there. And then we prepare the archive. Now, the archive are the cards that went to sort of set up this codex down here. So they're fine. All it is, it's just all the other cards that aren't 2 and 3 up to 40 are just in a deck off to the side, because when I went through these cards, we will get asked to go into that deck and pick more cards out depending on if we trip the doom threshold or the clue threshold. Just depends. So you just keep that off to one side and then you add cards as and when you need them. So the archive is all ready to go. Then we choose our investigators. Now, I've already chosen our investigators because it's the first game. I wanted sort of a rounded set. Now, I don't know what a rounded set is for Arkham Horror 3rd Edition, so I just guessed. My sort of way of thinking was, you know, we need some people who are good at magic and we need some people who are good at shooting things in the face. So that's what I've gone with. And very much like the living card game, they split everybody up into... all the common investigators have sort of been split up into groups like survivors and guardians and seekers, all that palaver. And generally there's a bit of crossover as well. You know, you'll have somebody who's a bit of a guardian and a bit of a seeker and all that sort of stuff. We'll go through that when we go through the chaps and chapesses that we've picked there just up the side here. And then we'll do that at the end though, because then I can go through and I can chat about each individual and you can see what we've picked. Because what you get now is, remember you used to pick starting possessions and it all used to be random? They're not random now. You get a separate deck with starting possessions in them. But you don't get to keep them all. For example, Wendy's got 3 here. She will pick 2. One of them she will have to have. She will be allocated one of them, but out of the other 2, she'll pick one. Yeah? So there is a bit of choice that has to be... There is a choice that has to be made. You'll keep something and you'll discard something. But we'll do that when we go through the actual investigators that we've picked. Next up, we have final preparations. With everything in place, all that remains is to set up the clues and doom that await the investigators in the coming story. So we've got to spawn the starting clues, and to do that we've got to draw the top 3 cards of the event deck one at a time. Remember, that's the one that goes into this little holder here, and we started with Downtown. So Downtown is going to get a clue. And we shall dig a clue out of the supply. These are 2-sided, like Eldritch, but one side, and the LCG as well. One side's a doom, the other side is a clue. So it's more like the LCG than anything, but Eldritch, remember, it just told you where the clue was. It had a different design on the back. So this goes on to Downtown. So pop that there. And... just checking I'm doing this right. Yep. Then this card, where have I put it? I'll put it down somewhere. There it is. This card, and you can see why it's exactly the same as a neighbourhood deck now, because it's going to go into the Downtown deck. Because only this card can help you pick up that clue. Yeah? And in all, because there's 8 cards here, what they don't want is they don't want it right at the bottom. So all you do is pick the 2 cards off the top and you shuffle it into here. So here you go with a bit of 3-card shuffling. Isn't that brilliant? Now, this is one of the things that I've seen it in playthroughs on that are already on the net and stuff, and this is one of the things that made me laugh a bit, because they're supposed to be streamlining this game. You know, it's not... won't be as finicky as Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, and already we're doing this. And I will tell you that we will be doing that a lot. And if that isn't finicky, I don't know what is. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind finicky. I love 2nd edition. I don't mind all the crap that goes with it. I know loads of people hate it. Me, I don't bother. So this isn't bothering me either. But don't tell me that this game is less finicky than Arkham Horror 2nd edition when it already is. So here we go. Right, so they go back on top. Yes, so they've gone back on top. So we know within the top 3 cards of that deck, there will be an opportunity to pick that clue up via an encounter. And next one is the Merchant District. So we're going to get a clue in the Merchant District, which is down here. So we'll pick out another clue. And there it goes into the Merchant District. Then we pick the top 2 cards out of the Merchant District neighbourhood deck. And we shuffle the event card in a finicky fashion. This is just 3 card shuffling is one of the most annoying things to do. It's just madness, man. Right, so there we go. Right, we've done that. And there are special discard rules as well, but we'll go through that as we play. Essentially, if we pick up a clue using the event card that's actually got the clue text on it, then we discard it separately from, we don't put it back in the neighbourhood deck anymore. Right, okay, that was the second one, and our final one is downtown again. So we get another clue in downtown. So that is 2. And we do exactly the same. So it doesn't matter where that previous one had gone in. We're only going to pick 2. So it may be that the card we haven't picked up is the one that we previously put into the deck. Or it could be it was one of these 2 cards and we're going to get 2 of these special event clue cards in the top 3. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. So here we go. I'm already hating this 3 card shuffle routine. It's cobblers. There we are. Put that back. So those are the clues sorted. We've got 2 in downtown, we've got 2 in the Merchant District. Okay, next up we have place the starting doom. So we've got to put 1 doom token on each space indicated on the back of the scenario sheet, which we've done. Then we have to spread doom. So remember the tokens that went into the chaos bag? If we pull one of those out, this is what we'll be doing. We'll be spreading doom. So we draw the bottom card of the event deck and discard it face up next to the deck. We place 1 doom token in each space that has a doom icon next to the name on the card. So we'll do that now. Remember, we pick from the back. And it's a Merchant District. So the Merchant District is going to get some more doom on it. How much? We don't know till we flip it over. And it's the TikTok Club, which is a new location. Funnily enough, they've got rid of the unnameable by the look of it, and they've replaced it with the TikTok Club in the Merchant District. So that's got a doom on it. So we'll discard that there. And we will get a doom, which is here, and we'll put it onto the TikTok Club. So there we are. We'll pop it up there so we won't forget it. So we've now got 2 doom in the Merchant District. Remember, if we get 5, we will get an anomaly. If we get 3 in any space, 1 space, then we'll get an anomaly as well, as per the anomalies card in the codex. Alright, so that is the doom being spread. And then we resolve any effects in the finalised setup section on the back of the scenario sheet. So we've got cards 2 and 3, we've set up the codex, that's fine. And we're ready to rock and roll. Except for, yes, let's pop back a little bit because we want to have a look at our investigators, don't we? Coolness. So the board's set up, everything's ready to rock and roll. Let's see who we have on our team. Now, the starting space is the train station. As you recall, we read that bit of text in the codex, and everybody's met up at the train station because of the Damon Sultan. We have Rex Murphy, the reporter, Michael McGlinn, the gangster. We have Agnes Baker, she gets everywhere, doesn't she, Camp Councillor Steve? Agnes Baker, the waitress, and we also have Marie Lambeau, the entertainer. If you're wondering what this yellow thing is, does not come with the game. This is a personal mnemonic for me, and what it is this will indicate where the unstable space is. And to start the game, the unstable space was the train station, but that'll change now, because the unstable space, you have a look at the event discard, and it's the one that has the doom on it, because that's why it got doom. It got doom because it's unstable at the TikTok Club. So I will move this over here, and there are some game effects that will reference the unstable location. So the unstable location at the moment is the TikTok Club. It's just got a doom on it, so this particular area of the board is unstable. Alright, but if there's never anything in the discard pile, because sometimes they get shuffled back in, so you might not have a card there. If there isn't a card there, then this will move back to the starting space, which was the train station. So that's all that yellow thing is. It's just to remind me where the unstable location is. Alright, so that's everybody starting at the train station. Let's have a look at our lead investigator. So we do get these tokens, and the lead investigator gets the one with the flashlight on it. And this is, you don't have to follow a strict order in this game, and so what this token does is it just indicates when you have gone during a particular phase. So say during the action phase, Rex takes his turn, then we flip it over, yeah, and we know that Rex has took his turn, but he has the lead investigator flashlight. Why? No reason other than I just picked him out first, that's all. So he's the lead investigator. Rex Murphy, the reporter. Family curse. While resolving a test, only 6s count as successes. You cannot become blessed or cursed. Never give up. After you fail a test, you focus one skill of your choice. How did I get mixed up in all this? Just lucky, I guess. So he's got a focus limit, which is unlimited. That means he can focus any one of these skills as many times as he likes, because he loves it. And he's got 3 law, 3 influence, 3 observation, 2 strength, and 2 will. Now, because he has to roll 6s all the time, that's why his focus is unlimited, because you've got to give him as much chance as possible. You know, get these as high as you can with focus, and then you're rolling more dice and you've got more of a chance. He's got 7 health and 7 sanity. If you're wondering why these are defying gravity, it's just a bit of blue tack, that's all. It's so they don't roll off all over the place while I'm moving the actual characters around, because obviously I'll be moving them out of the way. You'll see these cards probably during, you know, it's not the upkeep phase, what's it called? Probably during the I can't remember, what's the name of the phase? The action phase, you know, when we're deciding what we're going to do and stuff like that. You'll probably see these. I'll flip it over. So Rex Murphy, he's got a set of starting possessions, which are down here. Now, he starts with Search for the Truth and the Tower, and he gets $3. He gets those straight off. We'll go through those shortly. And then we choose one out of It All Comes Together and Overcome All Odds. So we'll do that shortly. Let's read through his story so far. And we've got Rex Murphy didn't believe in luck, which was good, since he had none. He didn't believe the old woman in Romania who told him that he was cursed either. But he had to admit that things went wrong for him more often than they went right, and sometimes in disastrous ways. He'd lost count of the times he'd found concrete evidence of the hidden world only to have it blown away in the wind, or ruined by rain, or eaten by a rhinoceros. But luck couldn't be proved, couldn't be printed in the Arkham advertiser, and so Rex told himself he didn't believe in it. But if he had his way, everyone would believe the hidden world was real. Now, his primary role is as a seeker, so he's a sleuth reporter, isn't he? And his focus should be on gathering clues and researching their deeper meaning. Your work is instrumental in putting a stop to the evil plots at work. And a secondary role is a rogue. So he's got a unique skill set that allows you to specialise on a specific task. Rex has lived with his family curse his whole life. As a result, you have many ways to mitigate your bad luck, for example, using those focus tokens. So let's have a look at what we've picked. He gets the tower anyway. This is an item, a curio. Once per round, while resolving a test, you may re-roll one or all of your dice. Brilliant. So again, because he only has successes on a 6, that's just a way to try and get a success on a 6. We chose Search for the Truth. We'll go through that because that's the one he gets, whether he likes it or not. That's a talent that's innate. After you gain a clue, you gain $1 and you may focus one skill of your choice, which is brilliant because he has a special ability. Did I go through his special ability? I don't think I did. No, he's got a family curse while resolving a test. Oh, yes, I did. Never give up. After you fail a test, you focus one skill of your choice. I had gone through that. Forget that. Let's get back to Search for the Truth. After you gain a clue, you gain $1 and may focus one skill of your choice. Woo! And Overcome All Odds, another talent that's innate. You can focus each skill up to twice. Yes, this is what I was thinking was on his card, but it's actually on here. This means he can, like, when he was going to get a single focus, he can actually get 2. So, took that because he's going to need all the dice he can get. So, those are the 3 cards that he's going to start with. Rex is a bit unusual. He actually starts with 3. Everybody else starts pretty much with 2. So that is Rex. So we'll put him off to one side. And our second investigator is going to be Agnes Baker. She has a slightly different token. As I said, Rex is our lead investigator. So all the other investigators get a token that doesn't actually have a flashlight on it. So that's what she'll be using. So Agnes Baker, the waitress. Blood casting. You may suffer damage instead of horror while casting a spell. Blood is power. While casting a spell, if you suffer damage or spend remnants, you get +2 law. Brilliant. Things ain't always what they seem. We'll go through remnants later during gameplay. It's just one of the new tokens. But you can use them for various things. You can use them to get money. You can sell them to get money. And you can also use them instead of sanity to power spells. So good stuff. You get them from things like killing monsters. So that's remnants, but as I say, you'll see them in action during gameplay. Now, she does have a focus limit of 2, so she can only focus a couple of skills here. We'll go through the whole focus thing during play. Again, there are certain things you can do with focus tokens, and you can get re-rolls and stuff like that. So, but we'll go through that during gameplay. She's got 6 health and 6 sanity. Brilliant. She's got excellent law 4. So-so influence of 2, observation of 2, strength of 2, all pretty so-so, and pretty good is her will, which is at 3. We'll flip it over. Agnes Baker, her starting possessions, she gets the Heirloom of Hyperborea and $3. Then she chooses between Storm of Spirits and Flesh Ward, so we'll see what she's chosen in a minute. The story so far. Agnes had been troubled by dreams and visions, robed figures, incantations, keening monsters clawing at the edge of sight, but a while back she fell and hit her head. Since then the visions have come to her in her waking hours. She sees herself leading the chanting of the robed figures, hiding a silver key in the masonry of a well, conjuring spells as a sorceress in the mythic land of Hyperborea. Seeking an explanation, Agnes came to Arkham, home of the storied witch trials and other strange events. She took a job at Velma's, and then, one day, she found an old well with a loose masonry, and she found an old silver key hidden inside it, exactly where she knew it would be. Dun, dun, dun. Which is pretty odd, because you don't have the silver key to start with. And I know it is actually one of the items, so that's pretty strange. Perhaps they should have put the Heirloom of Hyperborea in there. That would have made a bit more sense. Her primary role is a mystic. Secondary role is a guardian. So that's her. And what about her special items? So what did we pick? Well, we got Heirloom of Hyperborea, which is a magical curio, an item. After you cast a spell, you may focus one skill of your choice. So that's pretty cool. And we've got Storm of Spirits, spell incantation. You may test law in place of strength as part of an attack action. The monster's attack modifier still applies. And that would cost her 1 sanity or 1 remnant. So those are her special cards. Next up, we have Michael McGlinn. So here's Michael McGlinn, the mobster. Out for revenge. After you defeat a monster as part of an attack action, you recover 1 sanity or focus 1 skill of your choice. This one's for Louis. His focus limit, though, is 1, so he can only have 1 focus at a time. He's got 8 health, which is brilliant, but his sanity's appalling at 4. 2 law, not so good. 3 influence, that's okay. He likes to put the frighteners on people, obviously. His observation isn't the best, he just goes around killing stuff. So his observation is 1. He's got a strength of 4, though, which is excellent, and a will of 3. Let's flip him over. His starting possessions are a Chicago typewriter and $3, and he also chooses one of being an O'Banion member or Old Boiler. So we'll have a look at that. The story so far: Michael McGlinn was a man of few words. He didn't need to talk much, he had Fast Lewis for that. The 2 of them were O'Banion's best soldiers, making sure the gang was respected throughout Arkham, until the night the thing in the river dragged Lewis off the dock to tear him to pieces beneath the water. Michael thought his bosses would call him crazy when he told them what happened, but the truth was worse. They told him they believed him and to let the matter lie. But Michael just can't let the death of his partner or the things he saw that night go unpunished. He's still a man of few words. Now he'll let his gun do the talking. Oh yes. Go, Mike! Mickey McGlinn. Primary role is a rogue and his secondary role is a guardian. And let's have a look at his stuff. So he gets the Chicago typewriter. So this is 2-handed. It's item, common weapon, and he gets +4 strength as part of an attack action. So that's great. Old Boiler is what we've picked, and it's an item and it's a vehicle. After you perform a move action, you may deal 2 damage to one monster you are engaged with and 2 damage to this card. So you can use it to run monsters over. Woohoo! So that's why I picked that up. I thought it'd be fun. No better reason than that. And it does have 5 health. Some cards do have health and sanity, and what you can do is you can put any sort of damage that was going to come onto you, you can put them onto that item card. There's only a few cards that are like that, but Old Boiler's one of them. You can do it obviously with the health here, so it can basically run 3 monsters over. Unless, of course, like the LCG, if it's direct damage, it has to go direct to the investigator. But that's Old Boiler and the Chicago typewriter. And that was Michael McGlinn. And our final investigator, because we're playing 4-handed, is Marie Lambeau. So let's have a look at her. Marie Lambeau, the entertainer. Smoky Velvet. Once per round after you perform an action, another investigator on any space may perform that same action. Normal action restrictions still apply. Just listen and I'll sing for you a spell. She's got a focus limit of 2. What that action thing means is very similar to Eldritch. You can't do 2 actions that are the same. So you can't attack twice, you can't move twice, all that sort of palaver. So you have to bear that in mind when you're getting somebody to sort of do the same action as her. Make sure that that person can do that. They haven't already done that action, for example. She's got health of 5. She's got sanity of 7. Her law is 3. Good. Influence is 4. Good. Observation 2. Not so good. Strength 2. Not so good. And will 2. Not so good. Let's flip her over. Marie Lambeau, her starting possessions are Intervene, which is a spell, and $4. So she's rich. She's got $4. And shoot. Oh, fell off. Choose one out of Witchblood and Grandmare's Knife, so we'll do that shortly, and I'll show you what I've picked. The story so far: Marie didn't know why her grandmare took herself off to Arkham, but the old woman must have had her reasons. She didn't know why the rest of the family stayed away, even when Grandmare died. You should go to her, Papa had said. She'd like that. As if the old woman were already dead and buried. Marie booked herself a venue at an Arkham club, easy enough for the jazz singer with the smoky velvet voice. And she tried not to think about the songs that crept into her dreams, the terrible, inhuman sounds of them, or the terrifying Baron Samedi-looking gentleman who kept appearing in her audience when she sang. dun, dun, dun. So obviously she knocks around the... when she's not at the train station, she's at the TikTok club. Her primary role's a mystic, and she has a secondary role as a survivor. So we'll pop her over there, and I'll stick that back on in a moment. And she's got some things to go through, hasn't she? So she gets intervene, which is a spell, incantation, and two-handed. Once per round, while another investigator is on any space and is resolving a test, you may test law -1. Add your test result to the other investigator's test result, and that would cost 2 of these sanity, or 2 remnants. So it's a way of giving extra successes to other people, possibly Rex, who might need it. Yeah? So we'll flip that over, and I picked Witchblood as her other item, as it were, but this is like a talent, an innate. And as an action, you may perform an action you have already performed this round. You can allow another investigator to perform this action with your Smelky Velvet ability. Once per round, after you spend a remnant, you gain 1 remnant. So I wanted this... I mean, that's pretty cool. You can do 2 actions that are the same, but once per round, after you spend a remnant, you gain 1 remnant. If we can get plenty of remnants, then we can power intervene. Yeah, without, you know, it sort of becomes half as much to power, because we'll always be getting a remnant back. So if we pay for this in remnants, coolness. So Witchblood is what I took. Right, so that is all of our investigators, and they're all here at the train station ready to go. And we are now ready to go. And that is what we shall do next episode, where we'll start turn 1. And we will see where things lead us. So thank you very much for watching this introduction and setup. I hope you're excited for this game as I am. I'll try... I know I have mentioned a few things that I don't like already, but I'll try and keep those to a minimum till we get to the actual end of the game, and then I'll go through the things that I do like, because there are a lot of things I do like, and a couple of things that I don't, that annoy me. But I've already mentioned one, haven't I? But there we go. Just a taster, And yes, we will get on with turn 1. I'll try and do that tomorrow. Let's try and get this introduction and setup done, and at least round 1 done, and then we can see how we are doing. There's still a lot to go through, but I wanted to keep it to a minimum during this episode. A lot of the stuff we can explain while we're actually doing it, and I think that's the way that we will go. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the likes, the dislikes, thank you for all the views and the subscriptions, thank you for all the help and support. It means a great deal, thank you very much. And anybody who's been across the Board Game Links to upvote the site, thank you, as exactly the same to anybody who's been to BGG and likes the video threads there, makes a comment there, drops Geek Go, whatever. Thank you very much, you're all stars. Right. So, that is it for the introduction and setup for Arkham Horror 3rd Edition and the approach of Azathoth. I hope you will join me for turn 1. But until then, this is me, Catweazle, signing off. Toodaloo.